Hello, amazing entrepreneur. It's Tash Corbin here and welcome to another episode of the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. This is episode number 315, which means you can find all the relevant links and show notes over at tashcorbin.com/315. In today's episode, I'm answering the question, do you need more discipline to work from home? And particularly for those of us who work for ourselves, is discipline something that we need to be building in order to be successful? Let's dive in. I'm Tash Corbin, and this is the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. Okay, so the first thing I want to say to answer the question, do you need more discipline to work from home, is if you do, I am in a lot of trouble. I am one of the least disciplined of all the people that I know. It is not something that I have ever been particularly good at. I am now starting to really uncover some of my brain's specific challenges when it comes to focus and discipline. And I can see how, even in my school years and becoming an adult and early work experiences that I had working in corporate, that my brain doesn't work the same way that a lot of people's brains work. And I have what would externally be referred to as a severe lack of discipline. And I definitely was one of those people who my report card at school said, she's really smart, she's really amazing, she gets perfect results, but she distracts everyone else in class. That's me. So I have been a very successful student. I've been quite successful in the workplace. I've been successful in my career. I have a successful business, but I'm one of the least disciplined people that I know. So if you do need more discipline to work from home, I'm in trouble. The second thing I want to say to this is that I feel that the word discipline is so masculine and so patriarchal, and it is so neurotypical, right? We see the belief that we need to be this type of person as like that's the requirement in order to be successful. But actually, the thing that typically we needed in order to be more successful was to fit patriarchal masculine structures. So of course, one of those, characteristics, i.e. discipline, that is very masculine and very patriarchal and very neurotypical, would be associated with success, because success required that we played the game of operating in patriarchal structures, operating in masculine orientated environments, and played the game of masking any neurodiversity so that we came across as neurotypical. So for me, I think that I see a lot of people get really upset at themselves or disappointed with themselves because they're not disciplined enough. And the reason why we link the need for discipline to success is because discipline is what was required for us to, cope or do well in previous environments. So the third thing that I would then say about discipline is that, yes, there are times where we want to be more focused in our business, and there are times where we want to be checking things off our to-do list. Absolutely. But I want you to be a kind boss to yourself. And rather than try and force yourself to fit this belief system or this model of working that, sure, if we were working in a factory in the 1950s, we would definitely be rewarded for, right? But we don't actually need to build a business that's built based on those same models. You can be a kind boss to yourself and still be successful and get amazing results. And as much as I was told this when I first started my business by several really amazing mentors and business friends, I didn't actually believe it for a long time. I used to have people say, you get more, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. And I'd be like, yeah. But I work better with really harsh deadlines and being like really strict with myself. And people would say, you actually would get more done if you stopped and took a break and you were kind to yourself and you listened to your body. I'm like, yeah, I know that. But actually, the way that I work best is this. And it took me a long time to unpack and unravel why I felt I needed to be so mean to myself. And a lot of that had to do with the times where I thrived most in patriarchal structured environments were when I had the harshest bosses or the harshest, strictest teachers, or my parents were the strictest with me. And so I've carried that belief system through into everything. But my business is not patriarchally structured. It's not a masculine working environment. And so for me, it's taken time and kindness for me to actually experience what it's like to work in a work environment that I've built for myself, not to what I've seen modeled in my past. So here are a few little things that can help you to be more kind to yourself if you, like me, struggle with being more disciplined. Number one, I see structure as a kindness. Structure is a kindness to myself that nurtures my creativity. So whilst I'm not a particularly disciplined person, when I have even just loose structure in what it is that I'm doing, it frees up so much brain space. So for me, structure looks like things like having a clear but not rigid plan for my quarter, knowing what my priorities are. My kind of structure is having short to-do lists of the most critical things, not having a list of 45 things and overwhelming myself. 3 things a day. That form of structure is a kindness because once I've done my 3 things for the day, I then experience the feeling of success because I've done what I needed to do today. I experience a feeling of freedom. The rest of my day is free now. I get to choose what it is that I want to do. And it then also creates a lot of creativity for me. It creates spaciousness for my creativity because I'm not carrying around ginormous to-do lists each day. I'm not worried that I might have missed something or it hasn't been done. The structure that I give myself actually creates feelings of success, freedom, and creativity. And a lot of the people that I work with, when we first start having these conversations, the reason they resist structure is because they crave success, freedom, and creativity. And it's so powerful to see that transformation that comes from realizing that structure is actually the vessel to that success, freedom, and creativity. It's not the barrier to it. And sometimes it's because the forms of structure that we've worked with before have been stifling. The forms of structure that we thought we needed or that we've been told are most effective for us are stifling of our creativity. They stifle that feeling of freedom. They're too rigid. But that doesn't mean structure in its entirety is the enemy. It just means we need to find ways of creating structure that nurtures those 3 things: success, freedom, and creativity. And for me, nothing nurtures those 3 things like having a short to-do list, ticking it off at the start of the day, and feeling like the rest of the day is my own. I've won. Today, I won. And so many people say to me, oh yeah, look, it's fair. Like I get what you're saying about having a short list of things to do. I get what you're saying about just having 3 things to do each day, but I'm a high achiever and I can get 10 things done each day. I could probably get 12 things done each day. So I'm going to give myself 10 things to do each day. And the question that I ask is, how many times in the last 2 years have you ticked off your entire to-do list before the end of the day? How many times? And inevitably, the answer is very few, if any. So you can keep walking around convincing yourself that you are this close to being someone who finishes their to-do list and never actually be that person, or you can be kind to yourself and have more structure, but have that structure actually drive the feelings that you want to experience in your business. Be a kind boss to yourself. Number 2, one of the things that allows me to be so successful without having to whip myself into being more disciplined is my team. I have an amazing team, and I have built that team to fill some of those gaps that I have. So I'm not necessarily, tick off all the things on the to-do list, map out the very detailed project plan type of person. I have a big idea of the concept, and I love just like, we'll see what trouble we get into, right? And we'll work it out as we go. But as a business owner, there are certain things that I do the same thing over and over and over and over again. But for me, it was a real challenge to actually document what that was. It was a challenge for me to hand that over to anyone else, because it was such a unwieldy, unfolding kind of adventure every single time that I did it. So the people that I've hired in my team are really good at mapping out detailed step-by-step processes. They're really good at watching me do something on a video and then creating the step-by-step checklist for themselves. They're very good at reminding me if I've missed something. And so, that whole like walking around worried that there must be something I've missed. There must be something I haven't done. I don't experience that because I know my team will catch it. 99.9% of the time, my team will catch it. And so I've surrounded myself with people who are really good at those things. I don't mind operating with a messy environment and a cluttered inbox. I don't mind that, but that doesn't work for customer service emails. So I have hired someone, the amazing Grace, in the customer service role. She needs the help desk to be finished. She needs all green dots on our help desk, and she is driven to keep it clean and tidy. And so if it has got a little bit unwieldy and messy because of things that are waiting on me or emails that I haven't answered, she will say to me, Tash, the inbox is looking a little messy. And that's perfect for me, right? Because one of my tendencies, if you look at the 4 tendencies from Gretchen Rubin, my tendency is to be an obliger, right? Now, I personally think that that's programming into people pleasing, but that's a whole nother conversation about personality profiling. But for me, having someone say, oh, this is a bit messy, but can you just do these 2 things for today is perfect. My team know exactly how to get the best out of me. 1, because I've told them how to, but 2, because I haven't hired mini-me's. I've hired people who have skill sets very different to mine. That means it takes a bit of time and work and effort and energy for us to learn how to work together effectively, but it's worth putting that time and energy in because I know my needs are being met and I don't have to pigeonhole or, square peg myself into the round hole of discipline. I don't ever have to do that. And that's really powerful. The third way for me to be a kind boss to myself and get great results without necessarily having to be a more disciplined person is I love masterminding and business buddies. And so I belong to a bunch of different masterminds. Whenever I tell people like all the different masterminds I'm in, they're like, is that not overwhelming? Hashtag, I'm an extrovert. I love it. Hashtag, we've been in lockdown for on and off for the last, 2-3 years. So for me, having those virtual masterminds and that sometimes get together in person and a bunch of people that I would refer to as my business buddies is really helpful because at any point in time, if I'm like frustrated with myself about something, I can just go into that space and say, why haven't I done this yet? And someone will inevitably say, let's jump on a Zoom and co-work together. Or, okay, well, you need to get it done by tomorrow. I'm going to come back and check in on you. And I'm that person for other people, but I really struggle to be that person for myself. Having self-discipline, it's not in my wheelhouse. So over the years of being a business owner, I've been in courses, I've been in paid masterminds, I've met people, I've interviewed people, and I just seem to collect business buddies and masterminds that I want to be part of. And some of them I've paid for, some of them are just self-run and they're free. And it's been a really powerful experience for me because it means that it fills the gap where sometimes self-motivated discipline appears in my business. So that's really helpful for me. And then the final one is I belong to 2 separate memberships that include co-working, and I love co-working. My accelerator mastermind includes co-working, and the reason being is because I find just having that dedicated time and space for working on something, and I try and keep my camera on as much as possible when I'm in someone else's co-working space. If I'm leading the space, I will sometimes turn it off so that I don't distract people. But I like to even leave my camera on, because when I feel like I'm being watched, right, it's the equivalent of working in an office, right? People are seeing what I'm working on. And so if I've just at the start of that co-working session committed to writing my 4 email sequence following my webinar, well, then it's silly of me to faff about and not do the work that I just committed to. So I do love memberships for co-working, and there's quite a lot of people, even in my community, in the heart-centered space, that facilitate memberships with co-working. So there's like Bev Roberts has the List Growth Club, where if you need to put dedicated time and energy into activities that are going to grow your list, then she has like, you get a masterclass and you get co-working. Claire Riley does the Batch It Crazy program, which has batching and co-working and all sorts of stuff in there. And there's lots of them. I won't like try and list off all the people that I know who facilitate co-working, but you know, there's lots of really cool memberships that include co-working, and I would happily pay like $50 a month for just for co-working time. And so I love being in different memberships where they do have co-working time. And so I've got multiple opportunities in my week to go and sit in a co-working space. And that time gets more and more protected in my calendar as I move forward. So yeah, I really, really love using co-working and being in memberships that have facilitated co-working, because it just gives me that dedicated time and space, and I get to do it with other people. And yeah, it just feels really good for me. And I know like introverts who adore co-working and extroverts who adore co-working. So I think different things work for different people, but there are 4 ways that you can really try to create that kind lens of creating a great working environment for yourself without getting upset at yourself that you're not disciplined enough to work from home. And ultimately, I mean, if you need any motivation to learn how to make working from home or working for yourself work for yourself, like for me, if I think about like my options are find ways to create an environment in which I am effective working from home, or go and get a job, I will do everything in my power to never, ever, ever have to go and get a job again. I will make working from home work for me. If that means I need to invite local people to come to my house and host them once a week for a big co-working day, I will do it. If that means I have to hire team members to literally send me my 3 tasks for the day every day, which I don't need, but if I needed that, I would do it. If that means I have to set 40 alarms on my phone, I would do it, right? I am unrelenting in my pursuit of creating a great working environment for myself that feels good, that lights me up, that creates those 3 feelings of success, freedom, and creativity. I'm unrelenting in my pursuit of those things. And so that means I need to do a bit of experimenting. I need to invest in a few things here and there. I'm willing to make that sacrifice so I never have to go into a job ever again. All right. Well, that actually brings me to the end of today's podcast episode. Now, I thought this would be a really great opportunity for us to use the pinned pod in the Heart-Centered Soul-Driven Entrepreneurs community. So come on over to the Heart-Centered Soul-Driven Entrepreneurs Facebook group. With this episode, we'll have a link in the show notes at tashcorbin.com/315 to the pinned announcement, the pinned pod post. But if you go into the Heart Centre community, it will be in the announcements at the top of the news feed. And let's have a little discussion about discipline, structure, working from home, and any ahas or follow-up questions you might have from this episode of the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. Until next time, I cannot wait to see you shine. Big love from me, and bye for now. Would you like more tips, tools, and resources to help you grow your heart-centered business? Head to tashcorbin.com today.